Hey everyone, my name is Antonio, and today we're going to be overclocking an Intel CPU. A couple things that you're going to need is a CPU with the unlock multiplier and a motherboard that supports overclocking. Now, if you don't know what any of that means, then you need to go ahead and check your CPU specs. For example, today we'll be using a Z97 motherboard and a 4790K CPU. Now, the numbers may look different depending on the CPU, but the method is completely the same and it should work. Now let's get started with this video. Okay, first things first. You're going to want to go ahead and go to the link provided. And then you're going to want to download this setup right here. The setup will download, and once the setup downloads, you're going to want to go ahead and click on the application itself. Give it 1 second. It's going to request for admin privileges, and just give it its admin privileges. So once everything is loaded up, you're going to go to a screen like this. It's going to look very overwhelming. It's going to have a bunch of sliders, a bunch of numbers, but I'll go ahead and I'll explain everything to you. So we're going to start up here with the reference clock. Reference clock is going to be 100 megahertz times the amount that you put through the multiplier. So if you put 44, that would equal 4,400 megahertz, which is 4.4 gigahertz. So normally I would leave that there unless you're trying to hit like a midpoint. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and go down here to the core voltage, and these two are pretty much the main things that you're going to play with here. Okay, so what we're gonna try to do now is we're going to try to find a equal point for the core voltage and the multiplier. Remember, too much voltage equals stable CPU, but a CPU that probably won't live as long and have a really high heat output. And the lower that you keep your voltage means that the CPU might not be stable and could actually have a lot of crashes in the future. So finding the medium point actually takes time and it varies on the CPU. For example, if I want to turn this up to 5 gigahertz and I want to put up to like 1.385 volts, which is borderline safe. I mean, it works perfectly fine. Um, I mean, if you want to turn it up, you can keep turning it up. I mean, as long as your temperatures are well below, I would say 80. Then you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to go to the CPU stress test and just run that for about 5 minutes. Now, this will not be like running IDA 64 or anything like that. It's completely different almost. If you cannot get good temperatures here, then you're definitely not going to get good temperatures there, because this is a very minimal stress test just to make sure it's okay stable. So after that's done and it's passed, I'm not going to wait to the whole thing, but as you see, everything here is pretty normal. It's not that hot. You're going to go ahead and you're going to wait for it to stop testing, but in my case I just stopped it. And if it crashes, then that means that you can go ahead and restart this program once it comes back up, and this will be set at default. And since this will be set at default, what that would mean is the overclock failed, and that you're going to have to go back and try that again and try to mess with your voltage a bit more. Now, in terms of this actual voltage mode, I'll definitely recommend static. Now, the reason why I recommend static is because if you're doing any type of stress test or even playing games on the computer, adaptive mode can actually make the CPU spike up in terms of voltage, which can actually hurt the CPU. Static sends out a very static baseline of voltage to the CPU. Now, if you want to go ahead and make the CPU a bit more stable, you can go down here to the cache and you can actually edit this and make it a little bit faster. So this right here will make the CPU marginally faster, but not a lot faster, but it will increase stability of the CPU. So you can go ahead and edit this and put the voltage. I would say keep it around the same that you would put your CPU at. In my case, I really don't care, so I'm gonna put mine probably like 1.35 and keep it static too. And then go ahead and press apply. Now, that's basically how to overclock a CPU. This is very basic. It has everything in one. You can do benchmarking. Now, once you get a little bit more advanced, then you can go ahead and mess with the offset voltage. And yeah. So if you like this video, press like. And if you want to watch more of these videos, then press subscribe. And also leave a comment on what you would want on the next video.